What's going on? This is Thomas Denzi with Combat Sports Coverage. And on this edition, I'll be interviewing UFC fighter Juan, the Kraken Adams, over his upcoming UFC fight, May 4th, where he'll be taking on Olympic wrestler Arjan Bhullar. So Juan, tell me how your training camp is going so far, about 2 weeks out from your big UFC fight in Ottawa, Canada.
It's going great. I'm just cutting the last little bit of weight before we get up there and do the water drop, and everything is going well. Practice is going great. We have good sparring groups for all the heavyweights. Saturdays, we've been going to ACS. We'll be going there the next 2 weekends. So just everything's falling into place. Everything's going well. I'm excited.
And who are some of the guys that you're training with right now for this fight?
I was training with Sebastian Storm. He'll still be there, actually. And then just, the guys that come out to Paradigm during the week. And then on Saturdays, Drew, Ratajek, and then they have their own little group that comes out there and helps me out.
Oh, that's awesome. So it sounds like you're getting some good training, some big heavyweights for this fight, which is definitely going to be key for this matchup. And, you and your opponent both have great wrestling backgrounds. And I want to see, are you doing anything special for that? Are you working on your wrestling a little bit more since he is an Olympian?
No, he's not a real Olympian. He's an Olympic alternate, and it's Canada. So if anybody can name the last Canadian Olympic medalist, let alone champion, then I'd be worried. But I can't, they can. And he wrestled NAIA in college. I wrestled Division I. There's levels to it, and he's not on mine.
Oh, that's awesome. That's exciting. I didn't know that. So that's awesome. And then, all of your fights so far, your amateur career and your professional career, you've won all your fights by TKO. And how do you see this fight going down with your opponent, Bhullar? Do you think you're going to another TKO finish?
Definitely. It's not going to the judges. I'm not sure if I'm going to TKO him or submit him yet. Whatever comes first. He might tap the strikes. I don't know. I just know it's not going the distance.
That's awesome. Yeah, I cannot wait to see this fight. And you have a height and reach advantage over your opponent. Is that something that's going to be a key factor leading into this match?
Definitely. Height, reach, strength, size. I'm going to be walking in the cage at least 40 pounds heavier than him. So I'm not super concerned about anything he does to me. I know he's not going to have the power to sit me down. He's going to have to rely on technique, and I have a technical advantage as well. So I'm not super concerned.
And in your UFC debut, you beat Christian De La Rocha by third-round TKO, where I believe you set a record for the most punches landed in a UFC heavyweight fight. Can you tell me a little bit about that special night?
Yeah, it was pretty special. I'm not sure if it was a record, but I think in a 3-round fight, it was definitely a record. It was special. It was a crazy night for me. One, I got steroid tested as soon as I stepped in the building. That was fun, and I couldn't provide a full sample at first, so I couldn't do my warm-up until I had chugged like half a gallon of water. That wasn't fun. I had to fight without my contacts in, which also sucked. My vision was 2100 at the time, so it was just a lot of stuff going on. Then on top of that, you have your octagon jitters. There's the adrenaline dump that you get for your first UFC fight. So a lot of stuff was working against my favor, but I still pulled out the W.
And speaking of your vision, I know in previous interviews I've heard you say that you do have really bad vision. And is that something you've gotten fixed?
Yeah, I had PRK surgery like 2 weeks after my fight. So my vision is now 2015.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And did you notice a big difference in your training?
Yeah, I'm seeing openings a lot better. I'm actually doing this like sports site training to kind of try and like help my eyes recover a little bit. But my strength and conditioning coach and my athletics coach, he's been working my reflexes a lot and just adjusting, adapting to stuff, seeing things coming more, and seeing openings a lot better. Him as well as my striking coach have really worked on that, and they say there's a big noticeable difference. So I feel it.
Yeah, I feel like having good vision would definitely help inside the octagon, and so that's awesome to hear. And I'm really excited to see how much improvements that's going to help you in your fight. And then, what is one of your more memorable moments so far in your UFC career? Is it winning the Dana White Contender Series, or is getting your first UFC win? Which moment was more special to you?
I think Contender Series was a lot more special to me, mainly because, that guy was talking a lot of shit before the fight, and, to go in there and shut him up and then embarrass him afterwards, that felt really good. This stuff, my first fight was special for me. That's like the longest fight I've ever had, but, that's kind of when I just want to, it wasn't a good performance, I feel like, so I just kind of want to put that one in the back burner.
Yeah, I mean, it did show in that last one, though. You're scrappy. You win almost all 3 rounds. You got to finish late in the 3rd round, which I think that's really cool. It's something really awesome. I think it shows more from fighters when they can go that distance, when you can get hit and stay in the fight. And your last opponent, you did bloody him up pretty well. And how was that? Did that feel a little strange, having all of his blood on you and stuff?
Yeah, I thought it was gross, actually. Like, I'm really not into bodily fluids and stuff. It's like, even when I wrestled in high school and college, like, I would have a towel right by the mat because I just hated it. It was gross. And so right after the fight, I'm trying to go to the locker room and towel off and stuff, and they're making me go to this interview. So I still got his, like, blood on my chest and stuff. My white, my fight kit sweater was all bloodied up. All my coaches' sweaters had blood on it. And I was just... It's like caking up on me while I'm doing the interview, and I wasn't happy about it at all. It was gross.
Yeah, I don't think that would be that great, having all the blood. You never really hear many fighters talk about it, but yeah, when you think about it, it doesn't sound very pleasant having a lot of other person's other blood on you. And was it like a huge difference, though, fighting in front of, inside the octagon in front of all those fans?
Yeah, it was a little different. I wasn't expecting there to be that many people there since I was the first fight of the night. It was a lot. It was similar to the Contender Series fight because there's not a whole lot of people at the Contender Series fight, but it's a much more closed off area, so it seems bigger. Here, I mean, it was a pretty big crowd, and everything feels different, man. The octagon walls are a little bit shorter. The canvas is different. The space between the fence and the canvas. It's just different. It attacks all your senses. It feels different. Everything is different about it.
That's awesome. That's great. Great insight on some of the stuff that you wouldn't even picture normally. And you are a big dude at 6'5" and a true heavyweight. How much weight do you cut to make the heavyweight division?
I walk around at 295. So right now I'm waking up at 282, finishing the day around 285, and we do that again. So fight week, I cut about 17 pounds.
Oh wow, yeah. So that's definitely a good amount. And when you wrestled in college, what was the weight? It was a heavyweight, but I think it's a little bit heavier. I think it's like 285. Is it limited?
Yeah, it's 285 in college. And at that point, at the beginning of the season, I would have to cut a little bit, but towards the midpoint, it was a relatively easy thing. Just don't have dessert the night before, eat a small dinner the night before, skip breakfast the day of, and don't drink anything the day of, and I would make weight pretty easily.
And how hard is that for you? You do seem like a foodie.
Yeah, man, I love my food. For me, I like juice. I love juice, and juice has so many calories in it. Plus, like, fluid weight is instant, so there's that aspect of it, and it's pretty hard. My Facebook feed right now is all food. It's all food and like me cussing. But that's pretty much all it is.
Yeah, and so recently I saw that you were talking about UFC fighter and former football star Greg Harding. Is that a fight you maybe want down the road after this one?
Fuck Greg Hardy. I don't think that fight's ever gonna happen. I don't even think he's gonna win this one. But as far as I'm concerned, he's behind me. He's chasing me, so he should be asking for the fight. Do I want to kick his ass? Yes. Of course I do. It's easy money, but it's not a fight I'm gonna ask for because it doesn't further me in the rankings. Now, if I lose somewhere down the line, that would make sense, but I don't see him winning his next fight. And even if he does, he'll be 1-1. I'll be 2-0. So I'll be trying to take out better people. You know, he's not talented.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think he'll be a horrible matchup. You're a horrible matchup for him. I think you're too well-rounded for him. Yeah, he might have some power, but I think you're too good of a wrestler, and you can strike, and you're just as long and powerful than he is. And then in the main event on your card, we will see Raging Al Quinta taking on Cowboy Cerrone. And I just want to get your thoughts on that main event. Who do you think is going to win that fight?
Man, I really think Iaquinta is going to do it. He's a very well-rounded fighter. Cowboy Cerrone is tough. He always shows up to fight, and he's a true warrior. He's got a bigger name, but Iaquinta's younger. He's hungrier, you know, and he's real unassuming in everything he does. But when he steps in there, he's a killer. We were on the same card in Milwaukee, and dude knows his stuff, man. He's really talented. I was really impressed by him.
Yeah, I agree. I think Cowboy, he sometimes, he's one of those fighters that kind of like a Vitor Veltor. Sometimes he shows up and he's amazing, but then sometimes he just shows up and he doesn't show up that night. And I'm going for Al Quinta also, you know, Realtor Power. I hope he goes out there and gets that W also. And so tell me, how did you get that nickname, the Kraken?
It actually started because of Kraken rum. I was in college. I drank it a lot. And then, you know, once I graduated, to this day, one of my favorite drinks. So I drank a lot of Kraken, and then some of the guys I would, when I first started MMA, I was coaching grappling and helping guys with their takedowns and stuff. But they said rolling with me and sparring with me it's just limbs coming out of nowhere. This is giant guy coming at you, and you know exactly what I'm going to do, but you can't stop it. So it's just like fighting the Kraken, you know, you're getting dragged to deep waters and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a great story. I did not know that. And then tell me, do you have any other hobbies outside of fighting and training?
Yeah, you know, I read a lot. I go see a lot of movies. I really like coffee. I've gotten into the craft coffee thing, to profiles and everything like that. So I go to probably the same 3 or 4 coffee shops regularly, but every week I try and go to a new one. And that's it, really. I mean, I like comics. Not really comics. I like the universe. I read the comics, but Marvel Universe, DC Universe, all that stuff is super interesting to me. And lately, you know, getting tested by USADA, that's pretty much, you know.
How is that? How is getting tested all the time? Is that driving you crazy?
Not really, because, like, I'm not doing anything. Like, it'd be one thing if I was trying to do stuff, but I don't even take protein unless my coaches make me. So I'm just, it's a pain in the ass, because it'd be one thing if it made sense, but in the last month I got tested 3 times. So it's like, it makes zero sense to me. It's funny because, like, I think it was after I won my first amateur title fight, my opponent and, like, some of his people were accusing me of steroid use. And then, like, for my first pro fight with LFA, I got tested again for Contender Series. Then right after I signed that contract, 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, they show up at my door. I get tested again. I got tested twice more before my fight. And then, you know, they took a little bit of a break. And then, you know, January they tested me. Didn't do anything February. March 15th I got tested. March 14th I got tested. April 1st I got tested. Then April 15th I get tested again. So it was just,
man,
it's unpredictable. But
yeah,
it's part of the sport. They got to keep it clean. I'm a clean athlete, so I'm not worried about it.
And how long does it typically take them to get you, like, the results back? Is it pretty fast, or does it take a couple days, would you say?
Yeah, they usually get it back. It depends, because, like, I think they have to give you results when they test you again. So when, like, these last 3 times, I've gotten my test 2 weeks after the fact. But from my January test, I didn't get it back from my UFC Milwaukee fight. I got tested as soon as I entered the building. I got those results back like a month later, and then the next day I got tested again. So from my recollection, it's pretty much I always get the results right before I'm about to get tested again.
That's funny. And so tell me, like, who is one of your favorite superheroes out there?
Oh, man. Ugh, that's a tough one. In Marvel, my favorite one I think was I like Colossus a lot, and from Marvel. From DC, I'm a huge fan of Lobo. He's not really a hero though; he's like an anti-hero. So DC Universe, I really like Martian Manhunter. He's my favorite from DC.
That's awesome. One of my favorite, especially in X-Men, was Colossus. So that's pretty cool. And I also liked Lobo a lot too, from like the Superman stuff. He was, I always thought he was a cool guy. And then, so that's pretty cool. And then do you have any special shout outs to any sponsors or any training partners that you want to thank?
Yeah, I definitely want to thank Rhino Pro Truck Bed Liners. They're my #1 sponsor. Huge. I wouldn't be able to, train full time without them. FlemingAttorneys.com. They've been with me since my pro debut, so huge shout out to them as well. And just all my training partners, especially the guys that come in late in the camp just to help me out. They don't get anything from it, but it's a huge, it's a real blessing. Those guys over at ACS and Jeremy Mahon, he opened his doors up to me, but ultimately I think we decided to stay at ACS on the weekends there. But yeah, just those are my coaches, man. I've had the same coaches from day one, and I don't plan on changing that anytime soon. So just a huge shout out to them, being with me this whole time and really helping me grow. So all them.
Well, that's awesome. And everyone needs to make sure to tune in to UFC Fight Night 155, May 4th on ESPN Plus to watch Juan Adams take on Arjan Bhullar, which will be an epic UFC heavyweight fight. And thank you again, Juan, for giving me some of your time and coming on my show. And best of luck, and I hope you have safe travels and put down a beatdown on this guy.
No problem, man. Thank you. Have a good one.